everyone, welcome back to Gracie May's Tarot. So today we're going to be finding out what should your next steps be. So think of a particular situation in your mind before you choose your group so you can be very clear about the scenario or the circumstance in your life that you're asking about. Also feel free to watch more than one group if there's multiple problems in your life or just some situations that you're not sure how to handle, or in general if you're not sure what you should do in your life next. Whatever the case may be, you can select your group. Just make sure you have sort of like your question or your scenario, your circumstance very clear in your mind before you select your group, just so the reading resonates more clearly for you. But we have 3 groups to choose from today, so you can choose your group either based upon the image that you are most drawn to in the thumbnail, or you can select your group by the magnet that you are most drawn to. So our first magnet says the husband did it. This was a magnet that the book of the month sent me, and I read a lot of murder mysteries, so I thought this was very cute. Pile 2 says cats are better friends, and then pile 3 is a Beetlejuice character. So take a moment, pause the video if you need to meditate on the groups. The timestamps are listed below in the description box, just like always. And again, if you feel more comfortable choosing your group based upon the image in the thumbnail, then feel free to do that as well. All right, let's get into it. Hey pile 1, if you chose the husband did it magnet, welcome to your reading. So we're doing things a bit differently today. We're using all pre-pulled cards because I wanted this reading to be short, direct, and to the point. That's at least what we're aiming for. So for your tarot, we have the 9 of Swords, we have the Empress, and we have the 8 of Wands. Okay, so there is a lot of fast-moving energy with the 8 of Wands. The 8 of Wands typically talks about positive changes that are coming into our life, things that we've been wanting, but it's coming at us all at once. And so even though it's positive, it's quite destabilizing. And I do think this is change you have called in, because at the heart of your reading we have the Empress card. And this is actually my favorite depiction of this major arcana card, is this Empress, because I think she's quite funny. Like the way that she's lounging back and ringing her little bell while the servant or the assistant runs around chasing these rabbits, which represent fertility. And you can see the decadence in the cake on the table, and everything looks very feminine and frilly and pretty. And so I think that you've been in your divine feminine energy and you've been calling in all of these things that you've been wanting, but the rate at which it's coming in, again, feels very destabilizing, and that's creating some anxiety. You're like, how do I handle all of these changes at once? And for some of you, maybe there's a certain deadline that's looming on the horizon, and when that moment comes, you feel like you know that change is coming, you know what you've been wanting is going to come in at that time, but you don't know how you're going to handle it or what you're going to do. And so you're feeling anxious about it. It's difficult for you to sleep at night. You're having some insomnia about it. I can relate this to my own life, quite honestly. Like at the end of this year, I'll be graduating with my master's in social work. And there is a lot of uncertainty about where I'm going to work at. Like what am I going to do after graduation? That is a positive change. Like graduation, that's a positive change. That's a big achievement for me in my personal life. But there's a lot of uncertainty about what comes next. So maybe you have some sort of deadline in your mind, something that you know is looming on the horizon. Like maybe you've been getting a lot of tarot card readings that tell you that you are going to meet your soulmate at the end of this year. And because you're a spiritual person, like you believe that. And so like you're just like, man, like how am I going to handle that? What is that going to mean? What is that going to look like? And so maybe there's just things that, or maybe the changes have already started coming into your life and you're like, how do I handle this? How do I cope? How do I go about this? Because when all of these things that I've been wishing and hoping for, like, yes, there's so many blessings happening all at one time, but how do I roll with it? How do I go? How do I adjust? Let's get into your oracle and find out. What does Spirit want you to do? We have cold lands. Learn how to keep yourself warm. Abandonment, challenges, aloofness. We have childhood home. Tap into your inner child, childhood memories, play, youthful energy. And we have lotus room. Take up space, growth, expansion, awakening. Okay, so quite a few messages here. I think that your guides really want to make clear to you that this idea of you being on your own, being out in the cold, having to fend for yourself, you know, feeling like no one stays, everyone leaves, I'm always on my own, when is this going to end? That's a very different energy than the Empress, right? Who's calling in something. So maybe there is some residual feelings, like even though you're trying and actively manifesting, trying to call in, trying to ask and pray for a romantic partner, good solid friendships, good connections, you know, these things that you're wanting in your life, maybe a family even, a home, a sense of safety and security in your connections, like whatever the case may be with that, this feeling of having to keep yourself warm, this feeling of not being able to rely upon other people, that, yes, I think has a lot to do with your past, but it's also an energy that needs to be released because you are maintaining that status quo yourself now. Because you think because it's been that way in the past, you think it's always going to be that way, and we know that it's not. You are in that Empress energy now, but you need to still release that fear of abandonment, because when all of these changes come in, part of those changes may be healthy, happy connections, whether that means new friendships, a romantic partner, you know, your soul family, whatever you're trying to call in. Because we do know it's related to connection now that we have this Cold Lands card. You need to release that abandonment, because the right people can come into your life all day long. But if you still have walls that you think are healthy boundaries, if you are emotionally guarded, unwilling to be emotionally vulnerable, even in friendship, how are you ready to receive this blessing? How are you able to actually have like a Two of Cups level connection with someone else if you were so closed off to genuine friendship, genuine love, because you think they're gonna leave, you don't think they're gonna stay? So if you're resonating with that, it's time to release this. It's time to release this. Oh my gosh. It is time to release it. It is time to let it go. I am stuttering so bad. I'm so sorry. Now, with childhood home, maybe this goes back to childhood and that's your starting place, but there may be some inner child work that needs to happen. And so tapping into things that you used to enjoy when you were a kid, you know, even if it's coloring, you know, like do something that you used to enjoy as a kid. Be more playful, be more lighthearted. And with this lotus room, make space for these positive things to come into your life. Make space, make time for them. You know, like switching up your routine, I think, can be quite helpful. So this can look like quite a few different things. So when we change up our routine, when we change up our habits, when we do different things, we are inviting change into our life, even if it's not necessarily related to what we're trying to call in. So for example, let's say I was trying to call in my soulmate, right? I can invite change into my life. I can invite this welcome change in my love life by just switching up my daily routine and showing the universe that I'm open to change. So maybe I take a different route home from work. Maybe instead of staying home on the weekends, I go for a nice walk in the park. Maybe I start to eat differently. You know, I order something different at my favorite restaurant. Again, none of that is directly related to finding a romantic partner, right? But it's just about showing the universe that you are open to change, you're open to doing something different. I think also actually clearing out your space, clearing out your clutter, just making more physical room in your life, even changing up, your relationships with other people. Maybe there are people that were only meant to stay in your life for a season, but you've been keeping them around even though, you've outgrown each other. People that you're no longer resonating with for whatever reason. Maybe it's time to clear out those connections as well. Make room for this change in your life. There's a lot of changes coming, Pile 1. We have precious time. The Fairy of Time wants you to experience every moment fully and to make the most of your precious time. Be mindful to not waste the time of other people as well. Okay, so be more mindful with your time. That's a message that's coming through. Pretty direct. We have hope. Hope is always there even when we can't see it. Optimistic expectations can help change a negative situation into a positive one. Just continue to have your faith that your happiness is on the other side of this, because I do think that there's an element here of you having to be patient. So even though the Eight of Wands talks about sudden, unexpected, all at once, all these blessings come in, but even though all of these blessings come in at one time and it's like, whoa, that doesn't mean that you didn't wait a long time for the Eight of Wands moment to happen. And I hope that makes sense. So the Eight of Wands is like, yes, overnight, like my whole life is different. But for that moment to happen, you may have been waiting quite some time. So it's like, when is my ship going to come in? When is my life going to change? I'm feeling stuck. I'm feeling stagnant. When is it going to change? Be patient, because when that change comes, again, it's going to be all at once, overnight, unexpected. Even though you've been hoping and wishing and praying, it's almost like the moment that you start to give up and you're like, it's not going to happen. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. The universe is like, okay, I got you. Bam. So your patience is going to be rewarded. You just have to hang in there, keep your hope, keep your faith alive, because I do feel like this is partially something that has been spiritually promised to you. So maybe you've been getting this repeated message in your tarot readings that, again, you're meant to meet a soulmate, or you're meant to have this up leveling in your career, but it's not going to happen until 6 months from now, and you're like, seriously? Or maybe you were just told there was an element of divine timing and you're like, well, God only knows when that's going to be. And so it's kind of just a test, okay, we're testing your faith, we're testing your trust in us, and you're having to keep your hope alive, and that's the name of the game. But remember, it's not just on your timetable, especially if a big part of what you've been trying to call in is connection with other people. It's not just about you being vibrationally or energetically ready. It's about the other person or the other people. It's not always on your time. Maybe they have some healing to do before they're meant to come into your life. Maybe they need some space. And if they were in your life now, I bet you'd be willing to give it to them. So even though you haven't met them yet, give them that space. Wait, because they are worth waiting for. That soul family, those solid friendships, that romantic partner, they are worth waiting for. If it's divinely guided, they are worth waiting for. We have inspiration. Be prepared, as you'll soon receive a visit from the Fairy of Inspiration. Come dusk or dawn, she can call at any time. Yeah, when your life is changing overnight in the future, it's going to be pretty inspiring to see, wow, all of these things that I couldn't see changing all of a sudden are transforming. It makes you start to understand your own ability, right? How empowered are you going to feel when you recognize that you are the Empress? Because I don't think that you see it yet. And remember, we're just talking about divine feminine energy. We're not talking about gender, but you are the Empress. Whether you understand it or not, that is your energy. Okay, it's not about exerting control. It's not about like working hard or hustle culture. It is just being in the energy of receiving because you deserve it, because you asked for it, and the universe is a very giving, benevolent entity. Okay, like your guides are trying to bless you. They've been working in your favor. Fate, luck, whatever has been working in your favor. Just believe that. The only thing that you're being asked of right now is to maintain your patience and maintain your hope and your optimism. You know, and whatever healing you need to do to resolve, I would say those abandonment issues, if that's resonating, or if you know that you're aloof and you know that you tend to be very like reclusive, that might be something to work on. Okay. We have, or withdrawn, reserved. Those would be other adjectives to maybe work on. Okay, we have starfish spirit, open to infinite possibility. Yeah, like believe your current situation has the ability to transform. Believe that. Believe that what you are unhappy with now has the ability to transform, because if you don't believe that, then how are you going to welcome in that Eight of Wands? That Eight of Wands is going to knock you out. Like you got to be ready for it. You know, like be careful what you wish for. Like again, like it's very positive, but are you ready for it? Get ready. We have wombat spirit, be at home. Here's the thing. If you can be at home even in circumstances that are not ideal, that are just not what you want, that are undesirable for whatever reason, maybe even very uncomfortable. If you can sit in that and still feel at home because you are in your vessel, you know, home is within. If you can go inward and connect to the divine and find a sense of home even when physically your external circumstances are everything but what feels like home to you, that sense of acceptance and that connection to the divine is where that transformation process can start to occur. And honestly, this is a message that I need to take home for myself at this time. But yes, like this is quite significant. Like I think this is the key to it all. Being at home with yourself, even when you're in the cold lands, even when you feel like you're out in the middle of an icy tundra and you can't see home for miles. Gotta find home within you first. Acceptance is the beginning of that transformation process, and that's what calls in that Eight of Wands. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Your next card is literally transform. Rise above any situation and become the best version of you. Yeah. Oh, I should show you the back of these cards because they're very cute. But yeah, transformation. I've already preached about that, so I'm not going to go on and on. Well, I haven't. Your guides have, but I'm the messenger, so. Okay, we have weed. Don't tolerate any less than you deserve. Yeah, I mean, if you need to do some pruning in your garden and get rid of connections that are no longer serving you, you know, things that are making you feel abandoned, you know, people who make you feel lonely, drained, tired, it's maybe time to evaluate. Are these people taking up space that could be filled by people who genuinely care and love and appreciate and respect you? And then we have adapt. You will get yourself where you want to be. I think there's having faith in that Empress energy, in your ability to call in and receive these gifts, having the belief that you deserve these gifts that you're wanting, but also the belief in yourself that when all of these blessings come in, you are going to be able to adapt and rise to the occasion, because I do think when you encounter Eight of Wands, all of those changes all at one time, they do ask a lot of you. You know, adaptability requires flexibility, it requires courage, it requires an ability to roll with the punches. And again, like even though it's things that you want, it's still requiring you to step out of your comfort zone because it's something quite different than what you have known. All right, so let's end your reading now with some self-care messages. So we have burning bowl ritual. So if there are some things that you feel like you need to release, maybe those abandonment issues were coming up, maybe that message was resonating. If there's anything that you feel like you need to release, a burning bowl ritual would be a great place to start. If you're uncomfortable with having like fire in your home or something like that, I mean, you can tear something up and throw it away. You know, like I think it's just the symbolism of destroying something. You know, like writing out maybe like a self-limiting belief, you know, and then destroying that symbolism of releasing it could still be quite effective, although the fire is fun. You know, there's definitely an elemental power to fire, but if you're uncomfortable having fire in your home, there is an alternative, right? Okay, and then we have music. You could also do some candle magic, you know? But music, yes, music is very healing, right? And music also brings you to the present moment, and it's fun, and it's creative, and yeah, I think getting in your fire sign energy a bit, you know, dancing, laughing, having fun, being playful. Maybe music was something that you really, really enjoyed in your childhood, or maybe it was something that was really important to you when you were a teenager. Maybe even playing an instrument, doing something like that could serve as a distraction or a way for you to be present in the moment and connected to your creativity, which is divine feminine energy, and that will help you sort of practice that patience while you wait for that Eight of Wands moment to happen for you. So pile 1, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads. I would like to say a huge thank you to anyone who chooses to do any of the things that I just listed out. And thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. Definitely could not be here without you, and it's really great to not be talking to the air and to know that people are watching and listening. So thank you so much for letting me do this reading for you again, and I will see you in my next one. Take care, pile 1. Hey pile 2, if you chose the Cats Are Better Friends magnet, you are in the right place. So we're using all pre-pulled cards today, and when I was laying out your tarot, I saw that we had 2 court cards, so I went ahead and I clarified these cards with the crystal the Crystal Unicorn Tarot deck. So we have the Queen of Swords, clarified by the Nine of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles, and we have the Knight of Pentacles, clarified by the Queen of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. And the center of your reading, we have the Six of Cups. I think it's interesting that we have the Two of Pentacles here as well as the Six of Cups, because this is talking about balance, right? Equal give and take. Both of these cards talk about balancing something out. And so with the fact that there are 2 court cards here, I do think that one of these energies is representing you and there's someone else, okay? So this is a situation that you're asking about that involves another person. And if that's not resonating for you, then I think maybe you chose the wrong group, or maybe this reading just isn't for you, and that's okay. But with this Queen of Swords here, this is divine feminine energy. So this is just energy. We're not talking about gender. But the Queen of Swords, she can represent air sign energy. So this is Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra energy. You don't have to be one of those signs, or it, you know, as your sun sign, it could be a dominant energy in your birth chart, you know, so maybe this is your moon sign, or maybe your Mercury is in an air sign. But honestly, like, don't get too caught up in the zodiac signs. Really, with the Queen of Swords, the important thing to know about her, especially in the context of this reading, is that she's someone who can be very pragmatic. She is the most masculine of all the queens. So even though she's divine feminine, she is still the most masculine. She even has like a phallic symbol, right? The sword. And so she's someone who leads with her mind. You know, she's very rational, very logical. She thinks things through. Sometimes, you know, she can overthink, but one of her positives, right? Like she knows her strength is her mind and her ability to articulate her ideas, and she's great at communication. She's great at mediating. She's someone who values truth and justice. She's someone who's very self-assured. You know, this is someone who can be a bit intimidating, right? Like she's not the softest of the feminine archetypes, right? Like she is quite strong. And you know, not that there's not strength and softness, but the way that she presents, I think, is a sort of strength that's more, maybe more easily visible, okay? And, you know, as a result, she's not necessarily the most emotionally vulnerable. You know, she's not the most open. And so she has healthy boundaries, but sometimes those boundaries could maybe be more like walls. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna close the door here. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So with the Queen of Swords, like, she can be someone who's a bit more guarded. And, you know, like in an argument, verbally, she can cut you down. And so sometimes she can be a bit, again, of an intimidating figure, right? She's not someone who you should really mess with or try to lie to, or, you know, there's no fooling the Queen of Swords, okay? Now, we're clarifying her with the Ace of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups. So this Queen of Swords is willing to put forth this Pentacles energy that the Knight of Pentacles is comfortable with. So meaning the Queen of Swords, even though she prefers this mental aspect, even though she's more comfortable in that air sign energy, she is willing to fulfill the wishes, fulfill the desires of the Knight of Pentacles in a way that the Knight of Pentacles can understand. So she is willing to meet the Knight of Pentacles where they're at. And so the Knight of Pentacles would respond more to someone showing their intentions through their behaviors and their efforts, rather than someone speaking their intention. To the Queen of Swords, your word is golden. So to the Queen of Swords, she would prefer a spoken promise, a spoken guarantee. Whereas the Knight of Pentacles looks more at someone's actions and their behavior. You know, it's that grounded, earthy energy. And so there's a real willingness here on the part of the Queen of Swords to meet the Knight of Pentacles where they're at. Now, the Knight of Pentacles, again, that's earth sign energy. The Knight of Pentacles isn't quite as evolved as the Queen of Swords, okay? The Queen of Swords is a little bit more of an elevated figure here. The Knight of Pentacles is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy, but the fact that this is not a king tells me that this Queen of Swords is more mature than the Knight of Pentacles. Now, this may literally indicate an age difference, or it could just indicate a difference in maturity, okay? Now, given that the Knight of Pentacles is clarified by the Queen of Swords and the Two of Pentacles, it feels like the Knight of Pentacles is very focused on the Queen of Swords, and they're trying to move towards the Queen of Swords, but they're doing so in a way that doesn't make sense to the Queen of Swords. Like, you see how the Queen of Swords is meeting the wishes and the desires of the Knight of Pentacles in a language that the Knight of Pentacles can understand. But the Knight of Pentacles, while trying to meet the Queen of Swords halfway, is doing so in a way that makes sense to them, but does not make sense to the Queen of Swords. If this is a romantic partnership, this is indicating two people who have two different love languages, and someone, the Queen of Swords, the divine feminine, is willing to accommodate this person's love language. This person is trying to love the Queen of Swords in a way that is not meeting the needs of the Queen of Swords. She needs words of affirmation. She needs to hear it. She needs you to tell her directly how you feel. what your intentions are, where you see this going, what is the future here, what are your goals. She's very pragmatic, very direct. So you got to say it. She needs the promise. She needs the spoken verbal commitment, and she needs you to do what you say you're going to do. She needs the follow-up. The Knight of Pentacles here is trying to show the Queen of Swords how they feel, but the Queen of Swords isn't seeing those things as a promise for the future or what she's wanting, what she's needing. So the Knight of Pentacles could be like, well, of course I love you because I put gas in your car. And the Queen of Swords is like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm asking you, do you see us getting married one day? What are you talking about? So you see how this could be a disconnect. Now, this doesn't have to be romantic, okay? Like, whatever the case may be, there's just a discrepancy here and how the Knight of Pentacles is approaching this Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is doing her part. But this Knight of Pentacles is trying, but not really meeting the needs of the Queen of Swords. And so, I mean, this could be a dispute in the workplace. You know, this could be a dispute in a friendship. You know what the scenario is. It's a general reading, so it's going to vary from individual to individual. The romantic angle is just a very obvious example. But, you know, like if this was a workplace dispute, this could be, you know, two different styles of management. You know, like maybe the Queen of Swords is someone who needs their boss to tell them directly what they need. You know, like what are you wanting from me? You know, and then the Knight of Pentacles maybe is the boss and isn't communicating what they need, and they're just expecting the Queen of Swords to copy their behaviors and follow their lead. And so there's a disconnect and there's a breakdown in the communication. So maybe the Knight of Pentacles here is expecting the Queen of Swords to pick up on the nonverbal communication and the behaviors and the actions they're taking and expecting them to fall in line. And the Queen of Swords just wants them to tell them what they want them to do in a very clear, concise, direct way. Because the Queen of Swords can be quite blunt. And so that could be another example of why there's a breakdown in this relationship. You know, whatever the dynamic is between you two, I'm not sure, because it's going to vary, you know, because it's a general reading. I'm certain there's at least a reasonably diverse group here. All right, so what are you meant to do about it? What are the next steps now that we've established what the problem is? Let's get into it. And if none of this is resonating, again, like maybe choose a different group, because it's pretty clear-cut message here. So we have, protect your dreams. You are the guardian of your precious dreams, and they are safe in your care. Keep them close to your heart until you're ready to release them. We have moderation. Is there something you know you shouldn't be eating? Try to eat mindfully and healthily, although the fairies say that a little bit of what you fancy is fine. And we have magical blessings. Whatever you're going through, you're being assisted by magical fairy blessings. The fairies say you can bless others too. Okay, this repeating green. For those of you who are resonating with the romantic message, there's a real need here for you to take care of your heart chakra. And part of that is going to be believing and having optimism that your love life can improve, and believing in magical blessings, protecting your dream and your vision of what love should be and what you need. And then moderation, meeting someone else halfway, moderating your expectations. We don't have to take this card so literally, okay? Moderating your expectations, not having the assumption that someone else expresses love in the same way that you do, or assuming that someone else is going to know what your needs are without you telling them. So for others of you, you know, if this isn't a romantic connection here, and this is talking about maybe like a workplace dynamic or a friendship, something like that, or even a dynamic with a family member, be protective of your heart. Be protective of what your needs are, okay? Like, you deserve a healthy, happy, balanced connection. And so part of that may end up being that you have to let go of maybe what your initial hopes were for the connection. Or if it's like a parent or something like that, maybe you have an idealized version of what a mother-daughter relationship should be like, or a mother-father, you know, like whatever, not mother-father, I meant to say daughter-father. Maybe you have this idea in your head of what that should look like, and maybe you need to let that go and accept what is. Accept what is, because sometimes people can only meet you so far, you know? Like, people, every individual has their own history, right? And so there are some people who are not as far along on their journey as you are. There may be some people who haven't cleared out certain lessons, you know, certain karmic things that they were meant to learn. Some people are maybe struggling on their journeys. You know, some people don't have the same sense of self-awareness that maybe you do. Some people don't know how to express themselves in a way that's appropriate and doesn't harm others. And that's not to say that that behavior is okay, but it is what it is, right? And you can't change them. You can't force someone else to change. And so sometimes you just have to meet people where they're at and be protective of yourself in that process. And so when you need distance from it, take your distance. But understand that your vision, what you're wanting, whether it's a new workplace environment, whether it's a new romantic partnership, like a new friendship, someone or some place that's actually going to meet your needs, you are absolutely deserving of that, and don't let that vision go, pile 2. Hold on to it. Okay, we have pleasure point. You'll like it up here, abundance, sex, and prosperity. And we have neon city, the lights are blinding, disillusionment, deception, and secrets. How different are these 2 cards? Okay, I like to think, pile 2, that this is where you're at and this is where you're headed. That's what I would like to think for you. That's what I would like to hope for you. I hope that you don't stay in this neon city. Like, I hope that you don't stay in connections or environments that make you feel like your needs aren't being met. Because listen, that other person may be trying, but there may be just an incompatibility there, you know? And maybe you're at a more evolved state than they are. Or maybe you need to do some work on your own. You know, it depends. Like, are you resonating with that Knight of Pentacles, or are you resonating with the Queen of Swords? Because that'll tell you which side of the coin you're falling on. Either you need to work on yourself, or you need to understand that this other person, that, you know, like if you're resonating with the Queen of Swords, your needs are not being met, and you've done a lot of work to meet the other person's needs. So you need to decide, do you want to keep trying with this person, or do you just want to let it go and find what you deserve? Because I don't think that, you know, if someone's putting in the effort towards you, but it's still not enough, like, I don't think that you should settle for breadcrumbs. You know, again, like whether it's a romantic or it's a workplace environment, a friendship, whatever, I don't think that you should have to settle. And that doesn't mean necessarily cutting this person out of your life. It's just maybe the relationship needs to change, or there needs to be an adjustment in the expectations or the degree of significance they have in your life. Because, you know, if someone is trying, but they're just not at the same maturity level that you are, that amount of effort may still not cut it, and you deserve someone who can meet you where you are. You know, you're a queen, you deserve a king. And if you are that Knight of Pentacles, then that is signaling to you that you need to do some inner work so that you can understand how to better relate to other people. Because maybe if it's a workplace thing, maybe you need to work on your leadership abilities, or your ability to collaborate and work with others. You know, if it's a romantic partnership, you need to work on your ability to listen to what someone else needs and not assuming that other people need what you need or respond to the same things you respond to. So again, just whichever side of the coin you're falling on, you know what your next steps are, because you either need to reevaluate and walk away or change the dynamic, or you need to work on yourself. Now with this neon city here, deception, secrets, there's a need to be honest. There's a need to speak up and say what you need and speak your truth. And if you feel like you're the Queen of Swords and you are settling for less, time to walk away. And this is what's on the other side of that. So like if you can, again, like whichever energy you're doing here, if you can resolve that, this is what's on the other side. Happiness, enjoyment, indulgence, prosperity, abundance, right? Fulfillment. So there's a disconnect that's keeping you from your points of pleasure, your points of enjoyment, fulfillment. We have Panther Spirit, reclaim your power. And we have the Beetle Spirit, with magic works through you. There's definitely an element here of, especially if this is a karmic relationship, I think that if you are the Queen of Swords and this is a karmic relationship, this is telling you or trying to get you to understand what you deserve and to stop making so many allowances, to stop explaining or justifying someone else's behavior, stop making excuses for them and say, I deserve better. And I've done everything in my power to make this work. And regardless of whether they're putting in effort or they're trying, you know, sometimes people's best just isn't good enough. You know, like some people, their best is quite minimal. I mean, I can see that in my own life, you know. I won't name the family member, but I had a family member who was not in my life in any capacity by their own choice. They were not in any way, shape, or form a person that I could rely on or someone that was willing to support me or help me in any way. Someone who, you know, just checked out. And it was nothing that I did to them. It was just something that, you know, they told me they were mentally tired and that was their thing. And so they checked out of my life, and it was like a 3-year period. And they did things during that time that were extremely hurtful and extremely damaging to me. And, you know, when they came back and wanted to speak with me, I heard them out, and they talked and talked and talked and acted like nothing was wrong, like no time had passed at all. And it was like an hour into the phone call, and I said, hey, are we going to talk about what has transpired? And they said to me, well, what do you want me to say? The past is the past. I can't change it. Do you want to move forward or not? And I said, wow, like you had 3 years to think of an apology, and you're coming at me with defensiveness and, quite frankly, being a bit, I don't even know, dismissive. Like, it was just very, very gaslighting is what it was. And, I mean, I forgave them because that's what you have to do, but it was quite shocking to me. But I understand why that was their best. I get it. Knowing their history and their own relationships and their own childhood, I got it. You know, I understood why that was their best. And if you guys are familiar with Brené Brown, she is quite popular and she's kind of a celebrity in the field of social work. I recommend watching her TED Talk if this is resonating for you. But she has a lot, she has this thing about people's best, and maybe their best sucks, but that is their best, and you kind of have to accept that. And so I kind of think that's what the dynamic is here. Like that Knight of Pentacles is doing their best, but their best kind of sucks, you know? And you just have to accept that for what it is and ask yourself, are you going to stick around and continue to accept those breadcrumbs if you're that Queen of Swords? Or are you going to reclaim your own power, say, I deserve better, and end a relationship that is quite karmic, especially if we're talking about a romantic relationship, and understand that all of this has been for your highest good to prepare you for the connections that you do deserve. So, understand magic is working through you. Even if you're that Nine of Pentacles, this connection was meant to teach you something. And there's no shame in that, right? Like, we're all growing, we're all learning. There's no shame if you're that Knight of Pentacles. There's no shame in that. But just understand that what has to happen next is self-development, okay? And that self-development has to start with how you relate to other people. So your capacity for compassion, your ability to listen to the needs of others, your ability to step into the perspective of someone else. You know, maybe you need to work on anger management. Maybe you need to work on, you know, just the way that you communicate, or maybe you don't communicate at all, or maybe you're unable to be emotionally vulnerable. You know, whatever the case may be, understand that it's okay, but you do need to begin that process. Okay. We have hidden depths. You only see the surface, look beyond. Interesting. And then we have release, lighten your load. I feel like what you need to release is this dynamic. Like, honestly, like I feel like this is like hitting a wall, and this is a connection or an environment that you need to walk away from. Regardless of whether you're the Queen of Swords or the Knight of Pentacles, it's not serving either one of you to stay in this. Take your lessons and go your separate ways. And I don't like make definitive statements a lot like that, but if we're talking about what your next steps are, there has to be some point of reckoning here. Like, because if you want to continue to stay in this relationship or this dynamic or this environment, it's going to require a lot of patience and a lot of self-sacrifice. Because even if you're that Knight of Pentacles, you are with someone or in an environment where the expectations are, or the standards are not within your current reach. You are not able at this point in time to meet those. So do you want to stay in a dynamic where you feel like you're not good enough and like you'll never measure up? Or do you want to take your time, pull yourself out of this dynamic, again, whether it's a workplace environment, whether it's an unhappy romantic partnership, friendship, whatever, pull yourself out of it, work on yourself, and then after you do that, then you can come back and find a new environment, a new partnership, a new friendship, where you bring something to the table and you don't just take from someone else. With this hidden depths card here, I do think that there's a lot more going on here than what meets the eye. And I say that because I think there's a lot going on here karmically, and I do think that this was a dynamic that was meant to happen, whichever side of the coin you fall on. I do think it was a dynamic that was meant to happen, but I think that what the Knight of Pentacles was meant to learn is very different than what the Queen of Swords was meant to learn. You know, the Queen of Swords was meant to learn her value, and the Knight of Pentacles was meant to learn how can I relate better to others. And so, you know, there's a lot more, I think, energetically going on, but it's sort of like this dynamic was meant to exist for a season. It wasn't meant to be the forever dynamic that was meant to persist. You know, like if it's a workplace thing, you weren't meant to stay there for a long time. If it's a romantic partnership, it wasn't meant to be the person that you marry. okay? All right, this was a rough one, pile 2. Let's end with some self-care messages because I think they are greatly needed. We have watch a movie, nice and easy, and we have chanting. Connect to that throat chakra because I think speaking your truth is going to be so helpful. I think that there are some people or a person that you need to be honest with, and it's time. It's time, pile 2. All right, so I also think with watch a movie, like watch something with a happy ending, watch a feel-good movie, like remind yourself of what is possible, something magical, all right? All right, so pile 2, this was your reading. Thank you so much for letting me do this for you. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads, and I would like to go ahead and say thank you to anyone who chooses to do any of the things that I just listed. Thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. I will see you guys in my next one. Best of luck to you, pile 2, with this situation. I know it's really hard. Hang in there, take care of yourself, be gentle with yourself, and I will see you guys in my next one. All right, last but not least, if you chose the Beetlejuice figure, you are in the right place. So we have the 5 of Pentacles, we have the Queen of Cups, and we have the 5 of Wands. So you have repeating 5s. You are going through quite a lot of change, aren't you, pile 3? If you haven't already, know that it's coming for you, but I think that the situation that you are asking about, or if you're asking what you should focus on next in your life, it does feel like it's involving a lot of change, like there's a lot going on here. Now, with the Queen of Cups in the center, I really like the way this Queen of Cups is depicted because she seems to be conjuring this cup herself. It seems quite magical, right? Even her crown is floating above her. Like her crown follows her everywhere. Her crown will never fall. So this divine feminine energy, it's really going to help you. Really going to help you to embody this Queen of Cups energy, to be gentle and compassionate towards yourself, to take care of yourself first, to prioritize your self-care, because you have quite a lot going on and you are trying to exert your will into a situation that is quite difficult, pile 3. With this 5 of Pentacles, you notice how there are the workers at the bottom of the card, and even one that's clinging to the rocket that's shooting across the work area here, and the ringmaster, the ringleader of the circus, the magician, they are on top of that rocket that is shooting across sort of the gears, right? The part of the circus that is unseen, the machinery that moves the circus, that makes the circus what it is, right? All of that, you don't see that when you're an audience member. All of the workers who are kind of toiling below the surface and making it happen, right? Like you just see the people who are center stage, the performers. And on the other side here, we have the 5 of Wands, and we see all of these sort of actors, right? These acrobats jumping around and creating this fire spectacle, this show for the audience, and they're all trying to get your attention, and they're all competing to be sort of the star of the stage, right? But they're also all working together, right? They have to be mindful of each other, otherwise they're gonna burn somebody. So there's this odd sort of dynamic here between work and teamwork and collaboration, but also trying to be the best and trying to stand out and trying to be above everyone else and trying to get from, you know, a worker that nobody sees to being the center stage ringmaster, you know, the one who is in control of the entire circus. You want to be the leader of your own show, of your own life, right? And so there's a lot here about your ambition. You're trying to do something where there is a lot of competition, or you're trying to achieve something that isn't traditional. a path that's harder to take. So that would be, an artist, someone who's trying to do something creative. Maybe you're trying to start your own business. Maybe you're trying to do something like even start a YouTube channel, Like maybe you're trying to do something where there's a lot of competition, or there are a lot of other people doing what you're doing, or again, it's just a very non-traditional career path, and it's a lot of pressure. And you're trying to grow your finances. You're trying to, you're trying to sort of gain a little bit of that spotlight for yourself. You're doing something, I think, maybe that requires customers or an audience or patronage in some sort of capacity there. Like you need other people to notice what you're doing. You need other people to buy your product, to watch your product, to tune in, to be a fan. Like you need that. You need to cultivate interest in what you're doing. You're trying to be a star. All of that, again, a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And you're trying to achieve, even if we're talking about like you're in college, like you're trying to be at the top of your class so you can get into a competitive grad program. Like you can apply this in so many different ways, but there's an element here in the very center, in the very heart of it. Spirit just wants to say, hey, that Five of Pentacles energy, that ambition of you trying to get out of the trenches, that Five of Wands energy of you being in competition, fine and dandy. Like, you work through it, you do your best, fine and dandy. But in the center of that, you gotta balance out all that self-discipline with a little bit of self-compassion. Like you gotta balance out all that divine masculine, like work hard, put in the effort, self-discipline, taking action, doing. Like you gotta balance all that out with some self-compassion, with being gentle with yourself, with taking care of yourself, with attuning to the needs of your mind, body, spirit, soul. You gotta. And the more you do that, the more you take a moment, the better you are able to return back to your work rested, ready, prepared, centered, grounded, inspired. You can't operate at 110% every day. That's not realistic. And so if you take a moment, take that time, balance out all of that work with some self-care, attuning to your needs, exploring your emotions, your feelings, all that good stuff, engaging in that divine femininity. The more you do that, the more you can return to your work at 100%, because if you keep trying to overextend yourself and you take self-discipline to the point of burnout, you're going to be operating at 60% every day because you're not taking that time to replenish, to rejuvenate. You need that time for self-restoration. I mean, that's just the name of the game. Like, you're human. There's only so much that you can achieve in one day. And be patient with yourself. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day, I think there's a lot here about like self-imposed deadlines, unrealistic expectations, putting yourself down, like and celebrate every small achievement that you make on this path. Celebrate it. Every small victory, celebrate it. Take that time. You deserve it. And you deserve to be proud of yourself for how far you have come. Even if you're not quite where you want to be yet, you deserve to be proud of yourself. Okay. We have Earth, the world keeps spinning, completion. Oh, I filmed 2 readings today and I'm starting to get silly. We have Earth, the world keeps spinning, completion, fulfillment and success. We have mushroom dimension, everything is connected, connection, magic, and openness. Here's the thing, like, you can work yourself, again, to an early grave, Beetlejuice. You can work yourself to an early grave all you want to. The world is going to keep spinning. The circus is going to keep going. There's always going to be competition. There's always going to be obstacles and setbacks. And the pathway to success is not always an easy one, right? Like the path twists and turns. The wheel of fortune keeps spinning. Like, you know, there's always going to be external circumstances outside of your control. That is why it is so important to tune into your spirituality, tune into your divine feminine, make time for play, make time to connect with Mother Gaia. Make that time. Because if you don't, you are going to be crushed by that wheel. You are going to be crushed. You're going to lose your vision. You are going to feel disillusioned, because you are going to put all of these unrealistic expectations upon yourself. And when things don't go exactly according to plan, and you're frazzled and you're overworked and overextended, you're just going to crumple. So it is so important for you to understand that that sense of success and fulfillment is great, but it does not define you. And there is no deadline, no timeline. I don't care what society says. You just keep going. Eventually you will get there when you are meant to get there, when you are ready to handle that level of success. And you may think, what does that mean? Like, I mean, really think about it though. Like, I work in addiction counseling, and I tell clients all the time, like, even positive things like getting more money. Everyone loves money, right? Like, awesome. That can still be a trigger. You know, like, think about it. Like, if you get this unexpected success, this windfall of money, you get a lot of money at once, and you are someone with a substance use disorder, and you get a ton of money all at one time, what are you tempted to do with that money? Well, I've been working hard. I deserve it. Don't I deserve a good time? And then you go and you spend that money on substances to escape, you know, whatever, especially like if you're overworking yourself and you have no other sense of joy or fulfillment in your life, and you get a ton of money all at once, that can spell a relapse so fast. Whereas if you weren't overworking yourself and you were taking more a balanced approach to your work, and you didn't have all of this money come at you at one time, and you were practicing your recovery, because it is a skill that you practice, it's a plan that you implement every day, you would be less likely to relapse, wouldn't you? And so even positive things that can happen in our life can trigger us in unhealthy ways. And you need to ask yourself, like, you know, do I deserve all of this money? Do I deserve a good time? I tell my clients all the time, like, what do you deserve? I think you deserve a lot more than short-term gratification. I think you deserve long-term gratification. I think you deserve a real fulfillment, a healthy, happy life where you're not chained to a substance, where you can wake up and feel normal without needing something outside of yourself. Now for you, pile 3, that's just an example, right? That's just an analogy. For you, I think what you deserve is a sense of success and fulfillment even while you're on this journey. You deserve to feel successful. You deserve to feel fulfilled and proud of yourself every step of the way, every achievement you make. You deserve to feel proud of yourself just for trying, just for being brave enough to go after your dream. Like, you deserve to feel proud of yourself right here, right now. Take a moment, pause the video, feel proud of yourself. Because that destination, that goal is always going to be there. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to expire. Your dream doesn't have an expiration date. So that external validation that you're wanting from other people to feel successful when you reach that goal, that can't be what drives you. What has to drive you can't be that need for applause. can't be that need for that external gratification. That drive that's going to push you to achieve your goal has to come from within. And how are you going to do that if you're not connecting to your divine femininity and tuning into your own emotional needs? That Queen of Cups energy is so integral to your success. And you may think that that's a waste of time, but it is part of it. Part of it. This mushroom dimension, everything is connected. What you're trying to do in the earthly realm is connected to the spiritual, is connected to the divine. Everything that you're doing should be in collaboration with the universe. So don't just take a one-sided approach and think that everything is about hard work, because it's not. Divine femininity, ask for help from the universe. Don't you think the universe can help you achieve what you're trying to achieve? Don't you think the universe can send in the right people and circumstances to help you out? Why make it 10 times harder on yourself? Work with the divine. The divine is knocking at your door. Let them in. Tune in to the divine. Tune into a spiritual practice. Manifest your success. You don't even need to be in the magician energy, empress energy, divine femininity. Ask and receive. That's it. All right, I'm going on and on with your group. We have light. The fairy queen of light comes in to shed love and light on your current situation and to remind you that light can penetrate the darkness. Again, 5 of Pentacles and 5 of Wands is difficult energy to be in, especially at the same time. Hats off to you, for being as hardworking and resilient as you are. But you gotta let the light back in too. Reconnect with your softness. You deserve that. We have come together. Fairies like to be busy, and a group of them is showing you that many hands make light work. Working as a team helps get the job done. This could mean actually collaborating with other people, absolutely, but I think for your reading, collaboration with the divine is what is most important. And we have friendship. Fairies and humans alike need friends. Now is the time to seek out those who will support and encourage you on your journey until you fulfill your dreams. You need a support system. Collaborate with the universe if you want to bring in a team. If that would resonate for you, then do that. But I also think friendship, emotional support, finding a sense of, a coven. You need a sense of a soul family. You need people who genuinely want the best for you. People who are genuinely happy when you find those moments of success, and people who want to uplift you when you're feeling down. That's what you need. So if you don't have those kind of friendships in your life, it's time to make space. And I know as an adult it's so hard to make friends, but definitely know that you deserve a solid friend group. You deserve social support. We have Squirrel Spirit, believe in yourself. I feel like that one speaks mostly for itself. But if you think about squirrels, they have a lot of work to do. Squirrels are very busy, preparing for winter. So they're this cute little guys. They survive harsh winters. They do that. They do that. You got this. You can do it. You can survive the elements. You can survive whatever life has to throw at you, but you don't have to do it on your own. Again, social support, connection to the divine, connection to the feminine. You got this. Bee Spirit, another hard worker. Hard worker, busy bee. Bee Spirit, sweet results await. Yes, you're already doing the hard part, which is the physical, labor in the earthly realm. You're already doing that. You're already taking the actions that you need to take. Now you need to balance that out with finding that social support, finding that time to tune into your emotional needs, asking the divine for help. You're already doing the hard part. Okay, you just need to balance that out with some more softness. All right, let's see. It says share. The busy bee. The busy bee. I'm sorry, I got way too excited. The busy bee should still make time for each flower. Each flower is each aspect of your life. You can't put all of your eggs in one basket. You cannot focus on one aspect of your life to the detriment of every other aspect. There has to be a balance there of your attention. Okay, all of your attention cannot go to your career. It has to go to friendship. It has to go to family. It has to go to your self-care, your own emotional needs. It has to go to your spirituality. You have to balance it all out. It's difficult. It's hard to master, but at least make the effort. We have surprises. Venture down the rabbit hole. I feel like Spirit wants you to have a more playful, curious approach to this as well, and not have it in your head that you can only find success by following this template, this plan. Like, I think Spirit is saying there's multiple ways that you can go about this to be successful, and don't be so restrictive in your view of how you can achieve success. And we have play. Among the grass and wild violets lie undisturbed little secrets to uncover. Play is absolutely related to divine femininity, so I think that would be your biggest takeaway here, is to balance work with play. All right, let's end your reading with some self-care messages. We have make a vision board, connect with fire, so creativity, inspiration, passion, love. And we have movement, but intentional movement, like yoga. Intentional movement, not like just exercising, but intentional movement, or even playful movement, dance. That could also be beneficial. All right, so pile 3, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads. I would like to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far, and to anyone who does any of the things that I just listed out. Yeah, please take care. Best of luck to you with your goals, pile 3, and I will see you in my next one. Take care.